Hey, beloved. So I'm back. I had to go and check on my cat. And guess what? In that meantime, the vet had called. So you see, Spirit actually did support me. And so if you were just watching me, you know that I jumped off I said, let me go and get my cat. I was talking about mediumship. I was talking about Sojourner Truth being a medium. And look at that. Something told me, go check on the cat. And by the time I came back to the phone, it was the vet was calling. And so, when we are connected to our spirit squad, they are always with us. Hey, beloved, thank you so much for tuning in. And so, what I was sharing about Sojourner Truth, the great abolitionist and suffrage, was a medium, and they actually used to hold seances. She used to be at the center of seances, and I'm going to tell you something, so you've got to stay to the end, because I bet you didn't know this about Sojourner Truth and why and where she's buried and why, and I want to share that with you. And so I was talking about the spiritualist movement, and so the spiritualist movement was in about the 1850s, 1840s, right? And so this is when Edgar Cayce, all of these great psychics were coming out. The tarot was having a resurgence. This was before, like the Renaissance and the gate, the golden age again, but it was very, very, the spiritualist movement was so powerful. And one of the things that I read about, and this is all stuff that I'm actually writing in my book too, so this is also, great for me. But the spiritualist movement was really, it gained speed by who? Women. It gained speed by women like Madame Blavatsky, who started the Theosophical Society. She's got an amazing story, this Russian woman. See, and I have a connection to Russia and Ukraine through Madame Blavatsky, who was also a psychic medium. And then, so there's all these different spiritualist things. That's when Aleister Crowley with, the Thoth tarot and all these things really started happening in the United States. But back to Sojourner Truth. And so Sojourner she was like this Renaissance woman who, not only, for her being a spiritualist was about her, again, saying no to the patriarchy, because it gave her a sense of power and a sense of self without having to depend on the patriarchy. Because remember, she was a free slave, was able then to go and host these seances. And so what is a seance? Many people think, oh my God, a seance is about raising the dead, but a seance is really about connecting to passed on loved ones. A seance is really about a group of people coming together with the intention of connecting to the spirit world. And so Sojourner Truth, they would hold these seances all the time. And so I'm going to share with you just this quick quote. And I really love this. It said, during the Industrial Revolution, women gained mobility as trance lecturers, mediums, and prophets. By communing with the dead, women willing to reject unreformed, unenlightened modes of knowing, like canonical theology and patriarchal politics, became vessels capable of possessing the power of oration, foresight, and political influence. And though there were male spiritualists, women largely dominated the movement. Armed with the authority of their gifts, these women practiced a new form of political resistance. How deep is that? So these women who were, psychics and mediums, and we don't talk about this in United States history, right? We talk about the Salem witch trials, but we don't talk about this time period when psychics and mediums and hosting and holding seances was the thing. And so I'm sharing all this with you because I am hosting a virtual seance, and I want all of you to come. Why? Because over the last over the last few years now, many of us have lost someone, either through what's happening out there in the world or something else, including myself. I lost my brother late last year to suicide, and it was actually through a meditation and that he came to me and shared with me to host this. He actually said for me I should have this seance, and I was like, what? It just came out of nowhere because it was not something that I had been thinking about. And then all of a sudden I kept getting these insights about seance, and then Sojourner Truth came, and then Harriet Tubman, also a brilliant medium who also depended on her intuition to, all those times that she went back and forth to free slaves to the north and back. Do you know all she used was her intuition, beloveds? She used her intuition. She went into a trance so she could hear spirit. And then spirit was able to communicate with her, and she avoided capture all those years, right? So there are some very powerful energies in the spiritualist movement, especially coming from such powerhouse women, as I've already shared. And there's a few more that I'll be sharing in my book. But the seance that I'm hosting, it is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and I'm hosting it over 4 days. Why? Because I know everybody's going to have questions, and there's so many different things that we can talk about. So the first day, we're going to talk about past lives. We're going to get into past lives. And so the past lives, really, because so many people want to know, where did they come from, and why do I have this, and why does this happen, and why do I have this phobia, and all these different things come through our past lives. And so then the second half will be where I'll do just general readings. Again, just hosting a seance circle so spirit can speak. And then the next day, we'll be doing readings and then Akashic records, because again, these are two things that we don't talk about a lot. I've been a member of Rosicrucians. I've been a member of the Theosophical Society. I've been a member of Rota. I've been, and I'm not sharing this with you to talk about associations, but to share with you the depth that which I speak from with this, and I am a librarian and a psychic medium and all of these other things, right? And so this energy, the seance, this is going to be something, like I said, it's going to be one of a kind. And if you sign up for a VIP, you get a private seance with me. And so there's very limited spots for that. And we'll have post sessions as well as pre-sessions as well as post-sessions. So there's 3 levels that you can connect with us. And this is going to be starting on the 21st, which is in honor of my brother, his birthday. He would have been 51. And again, it was his divine guidance that said, you need to do this. You need to share your gifts, because for me, if I'm holding it on to myself, I'm not being of service. And someone needs someone to connect with them from the other side, or someone needs to know how this past life is affecting their destiny and their karma. Somebody needs to know what their book of life, their Akashic record, is saying to move them forward. And if I have access to that information through my gifts, I'm meant to share it. I'm meant to share it. And so I thought, sure, for years I've done one-on-one, but why not do something for everyone? And so again, spaces are limited because I can only do so many readings. But let me tell you, some of the places and spaces I've been able to do this type of work, it really, when I read these stories about Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman, and there's from the side not of freeing slaves, but from the side of them being spiritual women, mediums, psychics, clairvoyants, clairseidents. It just excites me so much, because I know I come from that lineage of women seers. And they use their gifts, as I shared in that quote, and this is from shondaland.com. So I want to make sure nobody, that, I am a vessel. I'm a vessel for spirit that wants to speak through me, and how I share that. And this is what I used to, oh my gosh, I used to go to so many different things. I've been to the Hamptons doing things like this. I've been to the highest point, Gotham, Gotham West in Manhattan. I've, in Chelsea, and again, this is what our ancestors did. This is what they did to get through. For them to be who they needed to be, they had to access their gifts. Harriet couldn't have freed all those slaves had she not trusted and believed herself. Because see, back then they didn't have much more but to believe in themselves, to see freedom, not from this place that we see freedom, but a true sense of freedom. And so belief was high. We don't believe anything because if we don't see it, we don't believe it. So, and theirs was the opposite. They believed in what they don't see, and we want to see it before we believe it. Do you see how that's reversed? And so I will be sharing so much in the seance. And so I invite you to the Spirit Speak seance, and you never know. You could have a past life that is a key right now to your best life, or your Akashic record could be opening and say, go that way, go that way. And if you don't have access to that information, then you will continue to feel like, I'm not doing what I'm meant to be doing. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something else. It's so much like me coming down here to Mexico. Had I not been guided by Spirit, I would have never been here. I had been living in Spain. I was living in Europe. I thought I was going to stay in Europe. And no, Spirit said, go that way. And so I want to share with you what Spirit has in store for you with this seance. And so what I wanted to share with you before I wrap up about Sojourner Truth, this is how powerful her magic is and was. That, I don't know if many of you know that she is actually buried in Battle Creek, Michigan. Battle Creek, Michigan is also the home of Kellogg. Coincidence? No. Sojourner Truth was actually the guru. She was the high priestess for the Kellogg family and continued to do so throughout the success of their company. She is actually buried. I learned this just last night in my African spirituality class with my beloved teacher, Aya Funlayo. Oh my gosh. Anyway. She is buried in the family crypt of Kellogg. She is buried in the Kellogg family crypt. Did you know that? Because she was their guru. She was their medium. She had a house on their property. She was the magic and the true spiritual guide of the Kellogg's that we see to this day. And I bet you didn't know that. And again, I learned that just last night. They say she was in Battle Creek, but they never show the connection to Kellogg. But like I said, it was Mama Coco, Professor Coco, who dropped that nugget of wisdom on me last night. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so that is what I wanted to share with you. Sojourner Truth was such a powerful medium that the Kellogg family paid for her life and everything. She was their everything. She had a home on their property and lived there into her death. That is the power of what the mediums were doing back in the 1850s. Are we having a revival of that, beloveds? Do you not see that revival experience? Ashe, ashe, ashe. And so that is the insight, because ever since I received that download from my brother, which I also want to let you know, a portion of the proceeds from every single dollar will go to Black and brown people suicide awareness and prevention, because there is not enough out there about our suffering, our mental wellness. And so this is another thing, a lot of women Black women especially have been told because of the Christian church that they are crazy if they have these intuitive gifts and can hear things and feel things. And so this is another thing I want to address, because we have been told that our gifts have made us crazy, and that is absolutely not the truth. And again, I want to share this last part of this quote again. By communing with the dead, women willing to reject unreformed, unenlightened modes of knowing, like canonical theology and patriarchal politics, became vessels capable of possessing the power of oration, foresight, and political influence. And though there were male spiritualists, women largely dominated the movement, armed with the authority of their gifts. These women practiced a new form of political resistance. So me being and sharing my gifts, again, for the last decades. I've been doing this now since 2009, or actually before that, but professionally got my first website 2009. And so, yes, women like me, spiritualists, mediums, and psychics, were seen as very just very influential in the spiritualist movement. And so many of us sisters of color do not know that, because we have been told that the Christian church then, it superseded everything. So if you thought you had gifts, if you thought you had this, you were told you were crazy. And so no more, no more. It's time for us to awaken. It's time for us to enlighten. And it is time for us to practice and enhance and harness our power. It is that time. It is time for us to rise, queens, rise. And so if you are just catching me, there's 2 parts of today's video, so I'll be posting both of them. And please watch both. I send you so much love and light, and I can't wait to see you for our virtual seance. I'll be sharing some more insight. We've got a new moon coming up. We've got so much good coming up. And so before I leave, I want to leave you with this. Which spirit in your family has spoken to you? I can't wait to see comments, or what spirit has spoken to you. I know spirits speak to all of us. And so what spirits have spoken to you, beloveds? I can't wait to see your comments. I send you so much love and light. Let's bless this week. Let's bless our minds, our bodies, our spirits, knowing that we are happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise beings of light. Thank you so much for allowing me to connect with you today, beloveds. I send you love and light. And until next time, peace and blessings.